2 Samuel 13 is a passage that preachers oftentimes skip. And if you read the chapter, you will know exactly why. A young girl is abused, shamed, and then silenced. But look how her story concludes. It says, Tamar lived a desolate woman in her brother Absalom's house. Now that's the last we hear from her. There's no song, no speech, just silence. The Hebrew word for desolate, shomema, is the same word used to describe ruined cities. Zion after Babylon's fire, Jerusalem's gates after invasion. But here, Tamar's body had been violated, her voice dismissed, her dignity torn like the robe she ripped in grief in verse 19. And to make matters much worse, her father David sees the situation, and although he's angry, he does nothing. Her brother tells her to be quiet and dismisses it as though it's not a big deal. He tells her, don't take the matter to heart. Those that should have defended her and protected her turn a blind eye. So she lives in silence like a burned down city. But the Bible does not silence her. Her pain is not edited out of Scripture. It's literally canonized, written into God's story of redemption. And why? Because God does not turn away from desolate women or desolate, seemingly ruined lives. And why? Because he was preparing to become one. In Isaiah 52, the suffering servant is described with the same Hebrew root, shamem. Many were appalled at him. So marred was his appearance. God's son, the suffering servant, would be disfigured by suffering, stripped in silence. He would be made desolate so the Tamars of the world could be made whole. But look at Tamar's question. She asks, where could I carry my shame? Friends, we might not have her story, but we all carry shame. But the cross is where Jesus bore not only our sin, but our shame. Not only guilt, but the suffocating silence of the violated. That's why God's family is full of Tamars. In Matthew 1, we find Rahab the exploited, Tamar from Genesis, who was forgotten and mistreated, Bathsheba the silenced, Mary the misunderstood. God's not ashamed to call them his own, and he's not ashamed of you. This is where we carry our shame and find unconditional love and acceptance.